Ladies and gentlemen, it's another review week. The week where we go over a bunch of cool stuff, whether it is basic blasters, pro blasters, modded stuff, whatever it is. And we got quite an interesting lineup this week, so y'all might want to stick around and see what kind of goodies we got in store for y'all. And as our final blaster of this week, as we've just been getting progressively bigger in size, why not end, and I know I've already shown this blaster off, I know I've already talked about it, but why not dedicate a video to it? The Nerf N-Series Infinite. If we're going to go big, might as well go home as well. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Included in the box is the Infinite itself, its belt magazine thing, a box that is very importantly filled with absolutely nothing, and then a box that is actually important that contains all of the darts. Now I know what some of y'all might be thinking. Haven't you talked about the Infinite a couple times? Well, yes, I have, and I already have another one, but that's going to come up later. But I wanted to actually dedicate a whole video onto it because I feel like there's some things about the Infinite that should be talked about, because the Infinite is quite an interesting blaster when you actually break it down and look at it, which is what we're going to do right now. Starting at the front, not a single muzzle attachment point at all. It's just a big old open barrel. But of course, right behind that is the very important priming handle, which is how you obviously charge and ready the blaster. Right above that, you got a nice long, looks like regular Nerf rail. And I mean, you got two spots to attach things if you want to have double accuracy with double scopes, but you're not going to want to do that with this blaster, especially with these darts. That's besides the point, though. Well, here on this side, it's got a little secret jam door right in there. You can see that. You need to clear some jams, and it's going to happen. Right behind that, you have this absolute behemoth of a thing. A belt mag is the best thing I can think of to call it, because it's a magazine. You still insert it into the blaster and have a magazine release right behind it. Oh, jeez. I tried not to break it at the same time. But it's got a belt built right into it for, honestly, some of the easiest loading you could do for a mag, if I do it right, that is. You legit just take your darts, just push it in front first, just like that. And that's super cool because once you are, shooting out on the field, prime it back first. You could have shot, a couple rounds and be like, oh, I need to reload. Just grab a handful of darts, bada bing, bada boom. You already got 3 more shots. And that's what's super cool about this thing, because while it may not be good for something super practical like pro level or heck, maybe even some casual, I would honestly still recommend something like this, or I would still honestly recommend this for HVZ. For the sole fact that it does have an obscene capacity. You can fit 40 darts in this belt chain, or this chain belt mag, whatever I called it. And then you got space for 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 more darts on the front. And if you're lucky enough to be the owner of 2 of them, that's 80 rounds plus 32 at the ready for this blaster. But we're not going to talk about having 2, we're going to talk about just having 1. Because, honestly, I do really enjoy the blaster. Obviously, you're not going to be shooting anything accurate with N1 darts. If you know anything about N1 darts or have seen any of my videos talking about N1 darts, they are not fully the most accurate things in the world. However, some of the blasters are actually good. For example, the Infinite, in my opinion at least. It's got this big old chunky grip that fits very nicely in my long fingered hands. Trigger pull is just a straight back trigger pull, no pivot, no nothing, just Actually, how much give does it have? Well, it's got a little bit of give before you actually shoot. But yeah, it's still quite a lot of fun to use. I will say, the trigger alone has quite a few locks on it. Once the priming handle is not in the forward position, you cannot pull the trigger. So you cannot deprime this blaster. So if you prime it and then try to prime it again, you have to shoot it before you can actually do anything. Then of course there's this little button on the top which does allow you to rack the slide again, but there's no way to deprime it. Which is something I can, well, actually I can't do that on my modded one, because, well, I'll get to that. But just something to look out for if you ever goof up something with your trigger. That's probably why, because, well, you can't deprime it. And then there is this kind of a joke of a stock back here. I mean, it works for me. I do chicken wing a little bit with it. And I think I talked about this when I first showed off the Infinite on my channel, but I can get over it. It's a big, chunky blaster, and especially with how it works, I'm not fully going to be using it up here. I'd kind of use it out to the side a little bit, like that. I'm not going to be taking sniper shots with it. Because like I said, this could work with something like HVZ because of the capacity, and also just the sheer feel of it. It feels like a battle rifle. And if zombies are coming at you, you don't have slam fire. You just don't. You hurt your blaster by doing that. But you can still rattle off shots pretty quickly with it. Well, what kind of performance are those shots getting? Well, let's whip out the chronograph and just see what kind of performance it is. Alright, I'm obviously not going to shoot a full mag's worth through the chronograph, so I am just putting 6 rounds through it. And this is a big boy, and it's going to be difficult to shoot through here. So let's see what we're getting with the N1 points. 88.8, 89.2, 84.2, 84.6, 85.6, and 75.7. With a pretty high average of 84.6 feet per second, which, considering what Nerf used to be maxed at, that's pretty good. Nerf used to be around the 70 FPS range, and this is hitting way over that. So, good for them. Let's, it's going to be a joke, I know. But let's see the accuracy on this thing. Alright, here we are with the Infinite. I got a good amount of rounds in here. How many do I have? 2, 4, 6... Hold on, 2, 4, 6, 8. I'm going to put 10 rounds through it. I already got one in the chamber. I just put another one on the other side. I'm going to be shooting at my target here, about 15 feet away. Let's just see what kind of damage we can do with this. So, yikes. High. Low. Oh, that was pretty straight. That was right on. That was low. That was also low. Straight on. Straight on. Straight on. Straight on. Ah! And that's all 10. What was that, 6 out of 4? 5 out of 5? Like, out of the 10 shots, like 6 hit or 5. I guess I'll put the number up here of how many actually hit, but that was not terrible, actually. Granted, of course, I'm standing at close range, but in HVZ, they're not long range. They come right up to you. Actually, hold on. I'm gonna grab those darts again. I'm gonna try to rapid fire this thing and see how well that goes. All right, loaded the 10 darts back up, and we're just gonna fire it as fast as I can at the target. Besides that little hiccup, that was actually, once again, not terrible. Huh. How about that? Let's go, ooh, is that one more dart? I see one more dart. Let's get that dart out of here. Woo! Right on the target. Yeah, let's go talk about this thing a little bit more. So why am I bringing this thing back into the light? Well, as I said, I dig the blaster. I do enjoy using it. Even though it's a big, chunky blaster. I like my big, chunky blasters every now and then. The whole feel of it, the whole, like, ratchet. I don't like ratcheting too much, but specifically the ratchet with the belt just makes it feel like, oh yeah, there's a round chambered and you're gonna pop somebody downrange. Maybe. Who knows if you're lucky with these darts. That is, of course, a big complaint I have with this blaster. It uses N1 darts. It doesn't use standard caliber darts. Although people have tried to make conversion kits for the belts, and who knows how successful they were with that, but people have tried things, and I mean, I like the look of the blaster as well. It's a very slick, kind of futuristic look to it. Like I said, kind of like a battle rifle or pulse rifle kind of thing. There's a lot of panels on here that you could take apart and paint if you wanted to. And speaking of which, if I set this down and whip out my other Infinite, because of course I have to, this is the one that I modded in the working/modding blasters video a while back. Number 2, I think, is what it was. And this is the one that's got an obscene amount of power in it. Ratcheting through the mag real quick. There we go. And if I were to just send a dart through the chronograph here real quick. Hold still, chronograph. Oh, that was good. I did not hold that correctly. There we go, yeah. 126. This thing slaps. It slaps real hard. But what I want to try to do to this thing is I found out that 1-inch diameter copper barrel fits N-series darts quite nicely. Oh. Don't want to use that as a blowgun. But what I want to try, a little bit of magic, I want to try to mount a length of this barrel in here. Maybe not this long, because I don't think it'd have enough power for that. But just a good length of barrel, probably to the edge here, and just see if that does anything. Because I'm a madman. Why not? Why don't we try some weird stuff? So we're going to take this sucker, crack it open, and we're going to see if we can make this thing a full metal breech. Let's do it. All right, we are here with the modded Infinite, and we are now going to get out the goods and open this sucker up. See if we can get this barrel into here. Take a crack at it. All right, we got this sucker open. Let's take a look at what insides we are working with here. Seems like everything else is still working as per usual. Only thing I'm curious about is if... can I possibly... I should be able to. Hold on. I'm going to try something first to make sure I haven't broken anything. Gonna do that, and then just pop. Okay, so that still works. Jeepers, that is so much power. But I'm gonna take out this breech quick, actually, And I want to just see if I can fit the pipe around it, and then use some of the pieces already on the blaster to maybe, I don't know, integrate it into the, what the frick? Oh, it's clipped on the side. Lol. Alright, let's check. Oh, it's close. It's for sure close. So I don't know if I'd necessarily do it on that piece. However, is there any way I can shove it down here or into here per se? Perchance, as it were. Because if this seals into here, and the dart is sealed. Interesting. So just after a certain point in this barrel, the dart does become loose. So only seal. Oh. Interesting. I'm gonna try to finagle with this for a second, and then I'm gonna see what I can do with this thing. That was a lot of work, but I got this metal barrel in place here. Actually, I'm gonna snag a piece quick, because I'm fairly certain that this will actually work, as long as I'm holding the priming handle all the way forward to make that seal, because without it, it doesn't seal as well as it should be. That could be a number of things, but cool thing is, if this doesn't work, I can still put the original barrel back in. But this is more just for science purposes to see just what kind of damage somebody could actually do to this thing. Woo! Pieces are flying. All right, I'm gonna put it back together. We're gonna see how well it works. And just like that, because holy crap, it actually works. Let me rack it a few times here. I can get it fully into the barrel, and it fires like an absolute mad lad out of this thing. Holy crap. Let me try to get an FPS reading off of it. Am I empty? I suppose I am. Am I? Oh, no. I didn't seal all the way. Let's try that again, shall we? Might have just been because the dart was halfway down the barrel, but if I try that again, sealing the barrel all the way forward. 131. Yeah, it still absolutely packs a mean punch. I'm gonna try to get a couple of chrono readings off of it, and then we're gonna try it accuracy-wise downrange and see just what happens. All right, got our newly metal sealed breech infinite here. Let's see just what kind of performance we are getting now. It's gonna be real interesting trying to aim with it too, so let's see here. 126. Not too much different than last time. 129. 119. Ooh, 28. Is that just possibly a bad dart? Who knows? There we go, yeah, 147. And 134. Yeah, this thing is absolutely slapping now. Let's try it downrange. All right, here now with the modded infinite. Prime on this thing is crazy. Moving all this way a little bit. Let's see just how much of a pain this thing is now. Ooh! Straight on target. Ooh, hello. Possibly a bad dart. This might be the one that I got the 20 with. Oh yeah, that was just wonky in general. We doing good over here? That dart got all wonky. Score debacle. Woo, hello. Whoop. Did not fire. Am I out of ammo? No, I'm not out of ammo. 1 second. Well, there's most certainly a dart in there. Go. Slap this sucker back in here. Hello. Know your place. There we go. Now we're out of ammo. Huh. Well, if I can find... Yeah, that's the issue seems to be. If I can find some way to make this barrel lock into place more, maybe I will like super glue it or something, just to hold it all in place. But if that can be solved, this thing's an absolute monster. It did seem to be shooting a wee bit more straight now. Obviously some darts got messed up when I was priming it, but it's actually doing pretty good for itself. Let's finish talking about this thing. So what else is there to say about these absolute behemoths of blasters? Well, I mean, first we saw just how it's actually not terrible stock. Well, this is the stock one over here. And, I mean, for all it's worth, it's a pretty effective blaster. Even if you miss the first shot, which you probably will, you have a couple more shots, like 40 plus 16 other shots on hand. But then, of course, we've also seen the mod potential that can come out of it as well, with new barrels and obviously the spring upgrade I did a long time ago and the locks, and now the fact that this thing kind of has slam fire where you have to pull the trigger after you prime it, and then just to not destroy the insides of my blaster real quick. Jeepers. Yeah, these blasters can do significant damage if... Whoop, just knock something over. These things can do significant damage if done right. And I think that opens quite a bunch of doors for people working on these things. Like, if we can make a full belt chain mag for this thing that takes half darts, I would 100% get that. Because then that means I could use this blaster way more effectively. But like still using the design of the chain mag or the belt mag. Because obviously this works in the blaster, but just designing it just right so that'll take half darts and then making a half dart breach. And the plunger tube in this blaster is absolutely massive. So you can most certainly get a crap ton of power out of it. It's just like I said, you need just the right tools in the right place to actually do it. Not everything N-Series has to be N-Series. You can most certainly turn it to shoot regular darts. Dr. Flux already did that with the, what's it called? The pinpoint with that half dart conversion kit. If there's a half dart conversion kit for an infinite, whew, I'd be hopping on that deal 100%. But that is what I think. You guys let me know what you think of the N-Series Infinite. I've probably talked to it to death at this point, almost as much as I've shown off the Venom on my channel as well. Why haven't I done a video on the Venom yet? You know what? I'll do a video on the Venom if I get to 1,000 subs. How's that sound? I'll do a review week with the Venom included if I get to 1,000 subs. And it won't just be the green Venom, it'll be the blue Venom. So if somebody can either send me a blue Venom, or if I get to 1,000 subs, to which I can be able to get a blue Venom, how about that? But if maybe somebody sends me a blue Venom, I will save that for doing a review week on it. But that's all well and good. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. And of course, I will see you guys in another video. Bye!